GearNetwork.com. This is a Gear Network production.
Listen up, please!
I'm glad you're here.
Mind orgasms and fantasies.
By the way, I want to say something that I absolutely love.
The back of my head may or may not look like a pug.
Somebody's misguided. The younger generation...
If you can wipe your own ass, then the other guy gets shot.
And I don't know that you notice it, but I do.
We found out who we truly are, which is a bunch of assholes.
Most of the time, it's because I'm turned away from you.
Why did you buy the vibrating strap-on pillow?
But there's something that I absolutely love.
Oh, I couldn't be happier.
Now, there was a time when we had to hide and we had to be quiet.
Right now, he's wearing a tinfoil hat.
Have you ever heard the term misguided? I've been misguided.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Do you really want to, fuse Dominican food with, Japanese?
I don't know either of those foods, so I don't really know what's traditional food from either
Japanese,
of those places.
Man, it's so good.
Why did you become a beatnik?
He's playing bongos. He's got a Maynard G. Krebs beard.
Is that what he calls his penis, his bongos?
Dude, on the road,
Nobody does call condoms his dick turtleneck.
Oh, man.
Well, it's only because he had his cut off at 18. Remember that time Matt masturbated and then couldn't come for 10 minutes?
Why are we talking about that?
What the fuck?
It was a throwback to an earlier episode. Remember when Matt told us all about the fact that he masturbated once, and then 10 minutes later he went to the bathroom and cum.
Actually, you know what? I have to ask, because I'm confused as to how that works. Did you orgasm, just not cum?
No, it got stuck in his hood. He had a little bit too much.
Stuck in my hood. That's when I decided I needed to get the thing
taken off.
Yeah. It was very painful. I do not advise any listeners out there to get it done. It's just it's painful, and you lose a bit your sensitivity.
That's never a bad thing.
So I think what's really funny about that.
Let me explain it this way. You know when you make a smoothie and you pour it out, there's still some left inside of the blender.
It's kind of like when you mash potatoes together and you still get some of the skin in it. Makes it better for the mashed potatoes. Yeah.
Matt used to call his penis the Grand Inquisitor, but once he lost his hood, it was just a sad little man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was an amphibian.
All right.
Salamander.
Well,
okay.
Welcome to episode 37.
Hey, that's my thing.
Sorry, I was just doing your thing. I wanted to see if I could do your delivery.
That was a new segment called Prick of the Week.
Matt fucked it up last week.
Prick of the Week next week.
Matt fucked it up last week when he was like,
10.
Welcome to the show.
9.
Welcome to the show. It's the morning drive.
Do you guys want to go to Cloud College or something to do a cloud podcast?
Bobby Meynerhd.
What?
Are we not just doing other intros?
So we are Better Live Than Dead on the Gear Radio Network. I am your host.
And we're talking wrestling
that guy.
Right
That's not true. Better Live Than Dead wouldn't do a show, even though they just released 2.
Didn't some kind of wrestling thing just happen that was important to someone?
The Royal Rumble.
Actually,
how many Royal Rumbles are there a year?
One.
Okay.
Also, John just wrestled for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, how did he do? Did he win?
They did a charity Royal Rumble, and he was the second entrant, and was forcibly removed as the final person out of the ring. So he did fairly well.
That's good.
All right.
For him, man.
Nice.
Yeah. So
nice.
Shout out to JC, the CEO of the.
Still has to go through a table.
Proud dad.
Just Jesse, actually. Jesse has to go through the table.
He still has to go through the table. You're right. We never did that.
He offered.
Fucking
and
backwards
you pussied out.
face.
What?
What the hell is
All right, thank you for joining us on the show this week. We have Full Boat again, plus one survivor. I'm not sure how Meynerhd keeps getting in here. We keep changing the password, and he keeps finding it.
You know, we invited him in for one episode, and then he just kept showing up.
I'm a resourceful individual.
We're a full boat, and if we're from the wrong country, we get pushed backwards from the shoreline.
You know, every time Meynerhd shows up, he brings us a full harvest from the pickle tree, so I have no complaints.
I was expecting you to eat a pickle right there from the pickle tree.
No. We're saving them for Larry's triumphant return.
Larry, I miss Larry.
We were afraid Maynard wasn't.
You
won't much longer.
We were all afraid that Maynard wasn't going to make the episode. He was detained at the airport, but mainly because he said he was the human X-ray machine.
It also didn't help that he had an alligator head in his suitcase.
Well, I mean, where else was I supposed to
I think
put
the
it?
big thing was that he was
True.
he was
Make a good
pretending he
point.
was in the TSA and he was doing body cavity searches. So, I mean, if we're,
That was not this time. That
You were
was
just doing
another
your
time.
community service, man.
You know what tipped them off is when you did the body cavity search
With your
on the
tongue.
janitor, and the janitor wasn't flying anywhere. He was just cleaning a trash barrel on you.
I need to be more selective in my choices here.
Well,
He
he
got
was also
tackled.
wearing pants when he did that credit card swipe up his butt crack, and that was weird too.
That
He
was
got
just a
tackled
joke.
by security by chastising people for not being bigger fans of Admiral Akbar from Star Wars.
Well,
It's a trap.
that's
It's a
not my
trap.
fault. They should be.
all right,
Who's that
guys.
character in Star Wars? Admiral Akbar. Get him!
Oh no!
What
He's my
happened?
favorite character.
I feel bad about
You know-
all of that.
You know what they say in Hawaii? Aloha Akbar. Oh yeah.
Oh, I thought they said.
Let it
I thought they said,
marinate.
"Do you have any
I'm
meth?"
feeling worse about it as
Hawaii has a big meth
Genesee
problem.
G, you had it.
Unless you're Dog the Bounty Hunter, and then you say the N word.
Oh no.
I liked
does.
Matt's. I think you guys all missed Matt's subtle insert into that, so I appreciate it, Matt. Appreciate your effort there.
I think every time Matt inserts, it's subtle.
Well, I mean, I would like to set it up again. Maybe I'll just replay that whole clip when I go back into editing because I think
You kill all the audio except for Matt.
just Matt saying, "Gee, you had it," like jihad.
There we go. I got it.
Oh,
It's funnier when you
it
explain
loses
it.
something
I guess.
when you. Yeah, it lost something.
So now that we've got the awkwardness out of the way,
It's just too early
No, I'm
to
still
go
here.
fishing.
See, you know what's frustrating is now that Maynard's here more often, we don't get the crickets.
It is still winter. If I record from my own place and instead of coming over to Sarge's, we'll get the crickets back.
He's got a whole basement full of feral crickets. They escaped from the container, and now there's thousands of them.
Now, Sarge, since Maynard comes over to your place sometimes to record, can you describe his smell? We're all curious.
So
wait, hold on. Let's just take a quick poll. Jesse, if you had to guess one thing Maynard smell like, what would it be?
I would say motor oil and duct tape residue.
All right, Matt. If you had to guess one thing that Maynard smell like, what would it be?
Rosewood and chlorine.
I'm gonna take a stab at it, and
So does Maynard all the time.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say Vaseline and sandalwood.
All right.
You know,
all right.
you might be onto something.
Actually-
I have a sandalwood oil that I use in my hair all the time.
Actually, I also, if I could throw another one in there, is patchouli for some reason. I think of patchouli oil when I hear Maynard's name.
All right. So it's not any of those things. It's a little bit like gasoline, and then a lot of it Axe body spray.
Is it like home heating oil or straight up gasoline?
It's like if you mix
An auto body shop.
It's like if you mixed Everclear with pineapple, like that kind of gasoline. It's a very sweet gasoline smell, and then some Axe body
Not
spray.
mesquite.
So basically, he took a bath in tiki torch oil.
Maynard, how would you describe your smell?
Beautiful. I mean, I did
course.
shower today. I'm not one that's against
Therapeutic.
showers or anything or bathing or things like that, but I do enjoy
Wait a minute,
Everclear
wait a
and a
minute,
little
wait a
bit of
minute, wait a minute,
sandalwood
wait a
oil
minute.
every now and again.
I'm sorry, guys, because this is breaking news as we're recording, but Trump has literally fired the acting AG. I shit you not. Trump has fired the acting AG, Sally Yates, and his senior policy advisor, Stephen Miller, is now on Tucker Carlson talking about it. I cannot believe this. This is a fucking...
Isn't it ironic in the week that
man.
Ringling Brothers announced that they were disbanding and they were replaced by the U.S. government? I find that ironic that we literally became a circus.
I cannot.
And the
I
Tigers
can't
have been
even believe that, guys.
uncaged.
I'm sorry to throw that all on you, but it literally just popped up on my screen here. And
What is this, like week 2 for him? He's not even through week 2.
Oh,
and
it's
he's
such the
already
shit
a
show we
fucking
were
moron.
afraid it would would be.
This would be way funnier if this wasn't happening to the entire country.
This would be great if it was a reality TV show, but like it was just all like a big prank show. Like Ashton Kutcher came out of nowhere and was like, "Fuck you all, I gotcha." This is for all the bad jokes.
I would never been more happier to see Ashton Kutcher on the TV. I would literally have a boner after that. I'd be like, this is the greatest thing ever. It never really happened.
Wait, you don't normally get a boner when you see Ashton Kutcher? Am I the only one?
I fucking despise him. I have like
I think he's a dreamboat
with him, like chopping him up
dead
and
inside, not
like Fargo, like putting him through the wood.
Salivate.
Got there.
Anyway.
I said he was on my Deadpool. Oh, by the way, we've got our first Deadpool.
Yeah, I was going to get to that when we did some updates. I took first blood in the Deadpool. So, Mary Tyler Moore, may you rest in peace, but thank you for the 20 points.
The funeral got a bit awkward when someone tossed the urn into the air above their head and was like, it's what she wanted!
Are you hiccuping again? That was a hiccup, wasn't
No,
it?
that was just a laugh.
No, it's just I was just laughing.
It was impeccable in that.
Oh, that's so perfect. I didn't even. Oh man, that's great. Okay. Oh.
And then they just have like, I'm gonna make it after not, and then it's Jordan's father's voice. No, you're not.
Turns out when there's no freeze frame, there's just silence and an urn hitting the ground and spilling upon.
We're awful people.
That's why
Somebody goes up and be like, this isn't her ashes. This is coffee.
All right.
Would have been great if she died by tripping over a stool for all those years she dicked around Dick Van Dyke.
You know she put that fucking ottoman there just for him.
I was confused when they first moved the ottoman. I was like, well, that's not how this show starts.
I was like, holy shit, he made it. Maybe next time Charlie Brown will kick the ball.
And then he never does.
Nope, never does.
No.
It's a very Charlie Brown school shooting is about what we're about to watch.
What the fuck?
I don't know. Maybe I'll get all anti-Semite and shoot up a mosque or something.
No, wow.
Oh boy.
That's going to be cut out.
Thank you.
That's going too far.
What are you, Canadian?
The very Charlie Brown school shooting is right on the line. The
mosque shooting
I think that
is
may be over.
the line.
That crossed the line. Now we know where the line is. So thank you, Matt.
By mosque, the holy place? Oh, I thought you were talking about Iceland because it's covered in moss.
Oh my god.
how do I even
Back to Victor Meldrew.
I can't even cut that out now because that was so good.
Just swat the comments away like they were mosquitoes.
Oh god, Matt, that was such a slow burn.
You know what's so sad though is like, I mean, oh, there it is. Sorry.
That sealed the deal on that bit. It's just for us now.
Sarge, can we leave that in here? Or
I guess.
I mean,
I don't know.
The mosque line is so good. Can we say it again? What do we do? Are we just gonna stop and re-record because I think we went off the rails a little bit.
I actually think we're more on the rails than we've been in weeks. Yeah, and I don't think any of us responded like, "Yay, great job, Matthew." Until he had a killer line.
We actually ruined the line because we were so happy for Matt.
Oh my god. So we got a game to get to.
Oh boy. All right.
Full time,
Jordan,
0-0.
Jordan, since
Nil.
game we laid you out as the fool, we kicked around some ideas and we landed on alien conspiracy theories.
Oh wait, I thought it was just conspiracy theories.
Just conspiracy theories. You can.
Thanks, guys.
I thought it was just aliens.
There was a loss of translation somewhere.
I'm just kidding.
Sigourney Weaver was a dude. I thought so.
All right.
There's
Conspiracy theories, but mostly alien.
I'm not saying it was aliens.
So, you are
John
going to
didn't
have
hurt
to.
on that. John
You are
did
going to
hurt
have
on
to
that.
figure out which one of us is telling. Now,
I know how the game works.
This is a dubious subject.
So the game works. I'm the fool. I have to guess. Hold on. We should do this for the listeners who are just joining us, all four of you. The game works like this. I'm the fool. These guys are the storytellers. But more importantly, they're the brain. One of them is a brain, and the others are assholes.
Could be
trying to fool the fool.
It's debatable.
And so I need to pick the brain out of the assholes, and then put it all in one.
It's like a car
concoction.
It's 2 truths and a lie in reverse.
3 lies in there. Oh, that game.
That's why I said 2 truths. Good, go.
I was taught differently.
Okay. All right,
I thought it was 3 truths in 1.
Listen, the caveat this episode, Jordan, is that no one has proven or disproven the existence of aliens and or random conspiracies that Jesse researched, apparently. So, whatever we're going to talk about tonight is not true in the sense that it's been proven, but true in the sense that someone has written it on the internet.
Oh, boy.
These are, and I've heard most of them, they're well-worn stories. You just have to figure out which one is truest to its source.
On the internet, is what you're telling me.
On the internet.
Well.
All right.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't have much of a choice.
We chose the order by which one of us made a tasteless mosque joke the most recently.
Which means Matt goes first.
Oh, shit.
I was kidding.
Right.
We can choose a better way to pick the order. I don't think the other guy.
I go first.
The other guy over there.
Matt, you go first.
All right, so alien conspiracies, as I thought it was, and I chose a story that was somewhat related to aliens, and that being Scientology, which I'm not going to go into a big description, but everybody knows what Scientology is. It's a religion based on some aliens that somehow created planet Earth, and their ghouls or spirits are still around us, and inside the ones are not the members of the church. So you can watch the South Park episode with Chef dying. Spoiler there. So 1967, the IRS revoked the church's tax exempt status. It was a decision resulted with so many complaints that have been going around, people complaining that they were swindled. L. Ron Hubbard was involved in it. They did several inquiries in the FBI, and L. Ron Hubbard was seen as kind of a dangerous, psychopathic.
Is he related to old Mother Hubbard?
Yeah, he is.
Oh, shit.
Yes, but instead of living in a shoe, he lives in a giant, gaudy palace called the Sea Org.
Ruled by Tom Cruise and John Travolta.
Got it.
I got it. That was a bad Tom Cruise impression. So,
we didn't even know it was an impression.
Yeah, I thought you were just being Matt.
Well, Victor Meldrew, for that matter. Pretentious man. So, I was going off the rails. But anyway, I get back to the story. So, Scientologists decided that they were going to infiltrate the FBI. So basically what happened was they sent about 3 or 4 people involved in the church into government buildings. Basically, they had fake IDs. A few of them claimed to be former employees that had left. And then a few of them just said that they were contractors. So basically, they went through records. They tried to find all sorts of material on other churches to try to disprove that, they weren't the only church that was ripping people off, that there was all these sort of, pastors and they also tried to blackmail some of their defectors as well. In fact, there was an offer, I'm trying to think of her name. I forget what her name was, but she basically wrote an article on Scientology. She was one of the whistleblowers, and basically what they wanted to do was
it a slide whistle?
So what they did was they tried to bring out all this information on her that she was a psychopath, and
so
she
wait,
ended
when
up
was this?
being. This was 1976. So basically,
bicentennial.
Yeah, so 7 years after the U.S. government revoked their tax exempt, this is when they sent some operatives in. I should have mentioned the year. I apologize for that. In 1976, they tried to seek retribution on a journalist such as, I forget what her name was. It was like Paulette. I should have wrote it down. I'm a bad student. But anyway, the FBI literally went over her home. They checked for her stuff. They wiretapped her because they really thought she was endangering her family. They thought she was a complete psychopath. They also tried to blackmail her at her work, leaving all sorts of things, that she was sleeping around with different men, that she was making fake stories, and ended up like really hurting the woman's career. And at this time, she was seen as one of the first, what you could say, a woman in journalist. It was getting a lot of journalistic acclaim and awards. So they're really backwards, those Scientologists. So eventually a tip from somebody within the Scientologist community tipped the FBI. The FBI had currently heard for the whistle that there was somebody that was doing this. They ended up one day catching 3 of them and arresting them. One of them named Jorge Bennett, who was apparently, he was the one who was actually going in to all their files and erasing all the information on Scientology, including some of the sex scandals involved with them, L. Ron Hubbard's records, a few arrests. They basically were wiping them off. And
wait, so these were, hold on. So these were the FBI agents that went in, were converted to Scientology and then did this?
Yep.
Okay.
So basically what happened in 1977, they went to court, and because of Scientology at this time, they swindled so many people, and they were across 30 different countries. They had a lot of money still. You know, this was even before Tom Cruise and John Travolta and, the big churches they have in different cities. They still had a lot of money, so they were able to find the best lawyers, and, they weren't getting prosecuted. They kept on pushing back. Eventually in 1984, they had enough information. They ended up arresting 11 people, including L. Ron Hubbard's wife. She received the longest sentence, which was 4 years, and she had 6 months probation afterwards. And after so much legal work, and even after this sting operation and going into the federal records, they were able to get their tax exempt back in 1993. And they didn't even have to go to the Supreme Court. And what their belief is, there was some people involved in the FBI around 92 that were involved in Scientology. And that's basically the story. It was a lot of people thought this was a conspiracy, and apparently it's a true story. And what could I say? After reading this, I was pretty impressed at how deep the Scientologists are. I mean, it's kind of frightening that they basically went in and, terrorized people and that's one of the things about the religion. Anybody who comes out, badmouths the religion, says anything wrong, leaves the church, they believe in actually physically harming them. And also at the same time, ruining their career, ruining their family lives. I mean, this goes pretty deep. The fact that they're intel and they're sort of secretive ways. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. But that's it. Do you have any questions, Jordan?
I'm just going to recap what you said real quick because I was trying to follow along.
Oh, thank God.
So, okay.
Be our guide.
So, from what I gather, in the 70s, the FBI infiltrated the Church of Scientology. Several members of the group of FBI agents became Scientologists and tried to delete things that would hurt Scientology's case to keep their tax exempt.
Scientologists infiltrated the FBI and pretended that they were contractors. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay, and then there was somebody named Pollyann something who did what now?
Yep, a journalist who basically wrote an article back in, I believe, the mid-'60s and late 60s, basically explaining, what the Church of Scientologists was doing, how they treated labor, how they took, foster children, like orphans in and made them work. She basically exposed them, and she was one of the reasons why they got their tax exempt revoked. And part of the operative to go in and infiltrate the FBI, they wanted to go in and blackmail her and get her put in a psychiatric hospital. I mean, it was pretty bad, and it ended up hurting her career because at the time she was seen as one of the first female journalists to have, to be established and popular and winning awards, because this was even before women were newscasts as well.
Huh. And then this guy Jorge
Bennett,
and he was
the one that got caught.
His name was Jorge Bennett.
Yes.
He was caught infiltrating the FBI.
Yes, he was the first one, and eventually I don't know, for wiretapping, it's a little bit, there's not too much information on it, but eventually his commands came from L. Ron Hubbard's wife, and she was the one who ended up getting convicted along with 11 others. She was the one who ended up spending 4 years in prison. Yep. But after her sentence, and she was released in 1988, only 5 years later, they got their revolt taken off and they became tax exempt again. And that was a time when you had John Travolta and Tom Cruise became a big part of the church. And now they are one of the richest churches in the world. I don't know if their influence is as strong today, but...
All right. I guess I don't have any other questions because I don't know what headway I would make. To be honest.
All right. So let's see.
Who made a Mosk joke next?
I'm gonna go. Maynard, are you ready?
Sure.
Maynard's gonna go.
Sure. Okay, well, this one centers around an old farmhouse. And I chose this specifically, A, because it's old, probably one of the earliest alien conspiracy theories you'll ever hear, and B, because it's an old farmhouse, and somehow that's close to my heart.
Clearly someone doesn't watch the History Channel. Ancient Aliens.
Well, old is old. It's older than me.
And great hairstyles as well.
It's older than me. So this centers around the town of Oplanter, Belgium. In the mid-1950s, following the German occupation of World War II, a painting was found in the walls.
Don't say that's so sexy. Don't do it. You're like the German occupation of World War II.
Do I have to re-say it in a non-sexy
I would actually,
voice?
no, you absolutely just re-say it one more
Following
time.
the German occupation of World War II. I could say it like the Time Life guy.
So what is the name of this place again? Something Belgium?
Oplanter, Belgium.
I'm never going to get that. Okay.
So a painting was found on the walls of what was left of a 300-year-old farmhouse. And the painting itself was nothing exceptional. It simply depicted the land that the farm was on. The town itself had a large artist community in the mid-1600s, and there are lots of paintings from that time period in Belgium's history in existence. There was, however, one thing that stood out about this particular painting, and that was the presence of a large oval shape in the sky of the painting. Now, the man who found this painting, Olivier Meynerhd, thought this to be pretty strange, as the painting had a bright blue sky, and the object was kind of smooth to be the moon in the daylight. Meynerhd took the painting home and was able to contact a local art historian, Jean-Marie de Decker, to take a look at the painting to see what he thought. Turns out that the painting was in pretty decent condition for being lodged in a wall for 300-something years, and was signed in the bottom in gold, Tobak. Now, de Decker was stunned when he saw the painting. He immediately recognized the object in the painting, as he was familiar with the work of another artist from Oplanter, whose name was Benoit Lutkin. He lived on the opposite side of Oplanter, roughly 10 kilometers. I don't know the miles for us Americans.
6. I'm guessing 6. It's about 6 miles.
You could be right, you could be wrong. I don't know. So that was about 10 kilometers from the farmhouse, and in 1687, Lutkin had also painted a painting with a large oval shape in the sky. Now, de Decker did not, however, recognize the name Tobak as one of the local artists from that time. Meynerhd and de Decker wanted to know who Tobak was, and was he the same person who actually lived in the farmhouse in which they found the painting? More importantly, what was the object in the sky? So through a search of town records, Meynerhd and de Decker found out that a young man named Charles Tobak lived in the farmhouse with his family from 1657 to 1680. And they also learned that Charles had disappeared without a trace on April 17th, 1680.
Was Charles in charge?
Charles in charge, or he wasn't in charge here, because he disappeared without a trace, along with his parents, Martine.
Are we really going to let him get away with those jokes all night?
Me or him?
Him.
Anyway, Martine. Are we going to make a Buddy Lembeck joke, too?
Charles.
So, Charles and his parents, Martine and Eliza Tobak, all disappeared without a trace. And what's more disturbing, the town never sent anyone to look for them. No search parties, no nothing.
Back in the 1600s?
All disappeared. Back in
people
the
went missing all the time.
yes.
No big deal. Mist came around the town, and they probably... no big deal.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like they would have at least gone out with torches for a night and and looked for the family that disappeared from the local farmhouse.
How old were they when they disappeared? Did it say?
I believe Tarback was in his early 20s. The painter, I don't know how old his parents were. So this actually stunned De Decker, the art historian. He also knew that Benoit Lutkin, the artist who painted the second painting that included the oval object, had also disappeared around the same time that Tarback and his family did. No one looking for him either. According to journal entries, Lutkin had always spoken of leaving Belgium for France to live with relatives, so that was the official story of his disappearance. But De Decker now wondered if there was something more sinister to all this, especially since Lutkin's painting with the orb was also the last known painting he ever created. So, was it aliens? Was the town covering up something about these two disappearances? Why was the painting stashed in a wall? Well, I guess we won't know, because it was a long time ago. But this much is for certain. Two painters from opposite sides of the same town saw something in the sky, painted it, and were never heard or seen again. Questions?
So, the one family disappeared in the 1600s. When did the other guy disappear and was never seen or heard from again?
Right around the same time.
Okay. But people knew that they existed in this town in the 1600s.
Yes, and no one ever went looking for them.
All right. I don't think I've got much else.
All right.
Alrighty.
I'm going to go next. And I got a local story for you.
Paper stacked and everything.
It's so good. It's local. So,
Ted Kennedy was just driving drunk.
We all know how this ends.
Yep, with the death of a babysitter.
everyone thought it was a UFO. It was just Ted Kennedy's plane crashing, which he was the only survivor. True story. Anyway, my story is actually about Karen and Henry Hill. So Karen and Henry were
Hey.
No. Happy coincidence, but not the same people.
Why did you do that, Karen?
I was actually thinking about Hank Hill at first from King of the Hill. But no, so this is a couple, a rare instance in the early 1960s, an interracial couple who was abducted by aliens. And get ready for it, boys. It happened in Montpelier, Vermont. Ooh. So Henry and Karen were out on a little vacation. At this point, Henry was retired from the Postal Service. Karen was a professor at a local college. They decided to just go out with whatever money they had in their pockets. They didn't even pack. They wound up buying clothes on the way. They decided they were just going to take a weekend trip, and they were going to drive from their home in Montpelier to... Fuck, I should have written this down. Somewhere else in Vermont.
Very descriptive.
So they were driving at night. They were headed to a motor lodge. They were about to pull. They were a couple of miles away, but they were in kind of a rural area on the highway when suddenly they lost track of time. 2 hours later, they were over 100 miles away from said motor lodge.
Oh my God.
Originally, they had no memory of the incident. They couldn't remember where they were, what happened. All they remember is they were driving and suddenly they're 100 miles away. Now, the thing that's fucked up about this is that they were 100 miles away in what was only the span of like an hour or so. So obviously they couldn't, well, in their minds, they couldn't have traveled that far in just an hour. So they kind of packed it away in their minds for a little while. They went home. They were like, that was super fucked up. They both didn't want to talk about it. Henry especially did not want to talk about it. He really wanted to keep it a secret.
He was like, Karen, we gotta keep it quiet.
Jesus Christ. So, anyway, Karen had noticed that there were some rips in her dress. So when she went back to the local college, she borrowed a Geiger counter. She used a Geiger counter on her dress and picked up elevated radiation readings. She also picked up elevated radiation readings on the outside of their car. Henry and Karen decided that they needed to know what was going on. Henry, again, was really, really not okay with this whole thing becoming a public thing. So they didn't tell anybody, but they did go and see somebody who specialized in the fairly new field of hypnotherapy. One at a time, Henry and Karen were hypnotized by the hypnotherapist.
And they thought they were chickens.
No, he just thought a helicopter was following him all day. And his brother was worried about the sauce.
Why does it taste like chlorine in here? So anyway, you fucking idiots. Hold on. I lost track. Okay. All right. So through the hypnotherapy sessions, they started to describe the scenes of what happened when they lost track of space and time. One of the things that Karen brought up was that they were stopped in the road by men in United States Army uniforms. These men in the United States Army uniforms led Henry and Karen away from their car and into the woods. That was the initial memory. As they kept going to hypnotherapy, their memories became more and more vivid. They started to describe the spaceship that they were taken up on, and it turned out eventually that what they believe is that they weren't men in U.S. Army uniforms, but aliens wearing shapeshifter camouflage to disguise their bodies.
Those are the lizard people Alex Jones keeps on talking about.
No. This is the thing. These were the alien grays, like the little guys with the big black eyes, the little gray guys, and the Nordic race of aliens.
Nothing like lizard people.
No. So the lizard people are like the highest echelon. They're in charge.
And they go,
and then the Nordics are like second in command. And then the little tiny squat, 5 foot tall, 4 foot tall alien grays, those are like the worker bees. Those are like the robots.
Okay.
So anyway.
They're like contractors.
Yeah, so the worker bees got them onto the ship, and it was the Nordics that were doing these kind of weird, physical experiments on their bodies. Now, I listened to some of the audio from this, and one of the things was really fucking scary because Henry just kept screaming, no, don't touch me, don't touch me. What they had actually done, according to Henry's memory regression, is that they had put an apparatus on his genitals and fucking jerked him off until he blew into the thing. Some of the other things that they said that they experienced through the hypnotherapy was having things inserted into their eyes, having things inserted into their navels, and various medical techniques. And every time they started to experience pain from these medical techniques, one of the Nordics would say something, but the thing that was fucked up about this is that their mouths didn't move. So when they were saying something, they were saying it into the brains of Karen and Henry.
That's like your pod experience.
Yeah, so exactly. They were communicating with them telepathically, except instead of trying to change a channel before that bullshit anime crap came on Cartoon Network, they were telling them, hey, I hope this doesn't hurt. And they would make the pain go away.
So what a lame title, Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, it was fucking stupid, right? Or One Piece.
Stay on target.
Man? Fucking stupid.
Stay on target.
Anyway, long story short, stay on target. Red leader. Okay, so anyway, Henry and Karen, this really fucked up their lives. Henry got to the point where he couldn't even do his part-time job anymore. He couldn't work. He wound up staying home all the time. He basically had what we now know today as PTSD. He couldn't really live his life anymore. Karen, on the other hand, was a lot more open about it. And she would start going to UFO conferences and talking about her experience. And it was at one of these conferences that she actually met a world-renowned hypnotherapist. And this world-renowned hypnotherapist was like, I'd like to put you under, and I'd like to see if I can get maybe some more information. So Karen agreed to it. Henry refused, but he said he'd go and witness it, but he would not participate. So what they did was they put her under, and they started to ask her specifically if she remembered where the aliens were from. And this is where it gets really fucked up, because she actually pointed to
Denver.
Interesting story about the Denver airport we'll cover in another episode, because that is fucking Masonic with the conspiracies and Illuminati and aliens.
That is a weird place.
Right? I heard it is.
Very weird place.
So anyway, she they asked her to draw a map of the stars of where these aliens said they were from. Now the way she described it in the regression is that the guys kind of pointed to the Nordic aliens pointed to like a picture of stars. And it was either, I can't remember if it was hanging. I think it was hanging on a wall. And he showed like a picture of the stars, and he pointed to a constellation. That constellation is Alpha Centauri. Now, the thing is, Karen is not an astronomer. She doesn't know anything about the stars. She doesn't know anything about the sky. Somebody had her draw a map of where the stars were based on what the constellation looked like, and she wound up drawing Alpha Centauri and then circling the star system where the aliens came from. It wasn't specifically in the constellation. It was actually a star that you kind of have a hard time seeing with the naked eye, but you could see with a telescope. And she had circled that one star and said, this is where they're from. The thing that's remarkable about this is that only somebody who either has extensive knowledge, because don't forget, this is the 1960s. We're not talking about, there's no Discovery Channel. There's not a ton of information
this isn't
about
fucking
it.
Copernicus, though.
Exactly.
Right?
She's not Copernicus. She's just a woman from fucking Montpelier, Vermont. So she circles the star that's there that a lot of people don't know about and says, this is where they're from. Nobody in the room knew what it was because none of them were astronomers either. So when the hypnotherapist guy got back to the convention, he showed one of the guys at the convention who happened to be a former NASA employee, and that guy said, that's Alpha Centauri, and that star is there. Like that, right where that position is, that star is really there. Now, obviously, this is some conjecture because this is the 1960s. I wasn't there. You guys weren't there. This guy could have been a fucking fat dude from Iowa just chilling on his couch and was like, oh, I'm going to pretend I'm from NASA. So we don't really know for sure. But bottom line is a lot of people are much more prone to believe the story of these two people because of where she said that they were from. However, the story has a sad ending because a few years down the road, Henry's health started to fail and he wound up passing away. Karen lived until 1992 and then she also passed away. The thing that made the story so believable in a lot of people's eyes, though, is that these people weren't fucking nut jobs. They're not trailer park weirdos. They're people who were upstanding members of the community. Karen was a professor. Henry was a mail carrier and then later worked at the local hardware store. Like, these people were well known in the community. And so that's why the story is so believable to so many people. Jordan, what are your questions?
So they went to two different hypnotherapists.
No. They went to one hypnotherapist.
Okay, so you said they went
that
to the one
hypnotherapist. No, I did, but hold on, you didn't hear me. They went to one hypnotherapist. That hypnotherapist was just a guy from Vermont who happened to know how to do hypnotherapy and he was good at it. The other guy was at a UFO convention that they went to.
But he was completely separate from the first person.
Yeah, he's not the same guy, but he was actually like a world-renowned hypnotherapist
but the other
who
guy
had
just
worked
knew how to
on alien abduction cases in the past. The other guy was a hypnotherapist, but he was like the guy who helped you quit smoking or lose weight.
And when did this happen?
This happened it was right before, and then the whole thing kind of became big after the Kennedy assassination. So 1962, and then everything kind of became like a big, well-known story in 1964, I think.
And then she died in the late 90s.
She died not in the late 90s, 1992. Henry died, I want to say, in the early 70s.
Okay.
But, so throughout their lives, and this is the sad part, is that Karen was really open about it. She wasn't running around telling people in the supermarket, but if reporters or if other enthusiasts would ask her about it, she would kind of talk about the experience a little bit. Henry was much more reserved. He did not like to talk about it. He was really embarrassed about the whole thing. He believed it, but he was the kind of person who was always trying to debunk his own thing. He wanted to be like, it wasn't aliens. It was, it was the military. The military abducted us. But the conspiracy aspect of this entire thing is that right near where they lived was Fort Ethan Allen, which is a military installation, a very secretive military installation in Vermont.
It's also a furniture store.
I've actually done some cold weather training at Fort Ethan Allen, and it's a pretty fucking serious place. When I was there, it was for 3 days straight. It was -17, which wouldn't be a big deal, except every time you go into the dining facility, you get those little cartons of Ben and Jerry's ice cream. They give them to you for free. Ben and Jerry's just donates them to the military. So it was -17, and I was eating ice cream.
All right.
Because it's Cherry Garcia. How can you go wrong?
Yeah. I like fish food sometimes.
I kind of went off on a thing there, but yeah. So long story short, that's my story.
All right. There's a lot to take in.
It's a lot to take in.
That's what Meynerhd says to his subjects.
Subjects.
I like that we've moved on from calling them subjects.
Mannequins.
Yeah, I think
Jesse,
you're the
call them
final.
mannequins.
You're the caboose. You're the caboose of this train.
I am the caboose. And if you know Red versus Blue, you know how accurate that is. Caboose is the idiot character in that show for you guys. And keeping up with the tradition of the podcast, I misunderstood the homework assignment. And whereas everybody else did theirs about alien conspiracies, I thought we were just doing conspiracies.
I made it quite clear in the group text, but that's okay. And so did Matt when he immediately repeated
That's just because Matt needed to confirm, so he wasn't doing it wrong again.
We wanted to make sure. So the conspiracy that I found that is an absolute real one is Pokemon has been used to spread Nazi propaganda to the youth.
Oh boy.
Now, oh yeah, my dear friend. Some of the shining examples of this before I get into the whole breaking down of the Pokemon story is in 1997, parents noticed.
Wrong.
Alex, there's no such thing as Nazis.
This is a fake news, period.
So, in 1997, they found printed on one of the original Japanese cards that also made it into the state. It was named Koga's Ninja Trick. And there was just a big old swastika in the corner. just hanging out. Man.
It reminds me of that website. I don't know if it's still around, EnglishFunny.com.
Oh, yeah. I remember that English.com, all the misspelled cards and shit. But outside of that, several of the rock Pokemon and things from the video game are actually modeled to be doing the default Hitler salute in their little icon. Outside of that, the Team Rocket signature salute is that of the Heil Hitler in everything from the card games to the video game to the TV show. Now, the basis of the story, if you think about it closely, as these conspiracy theorists have, God, I love the internet. The entire story of Pokemon is based on Japanese reliance on their alliance with the Nazis in World War II. Now, it's about Ash Ketchum, who is the only character in the entire series drawn to look predominantly white. All of the other characters look Asian, yet the hero of the story is a white guy in the foreign land collecting all of the strongest of this particular race for the only purpose of fighting and killing the weaker ones of that race. He's got to catch them all, and them all are Aryan white people, or Pokemon. Oh, also, if you know anything about Pokemon, you are aware of the character Jinx, who is a very racist character. It's basically a transgendered Pokemon who is also in blackface.
Yes, I know the one you're talking about.
And is completely useless.
I remember seeing that, and I was like, how is no one mad about this?
Oh, no, people were mad. They had to recolor it to blue.
Oh, I have so many questions. So okay. So who was this card that had the Nazi swastika in it?
It was Koga's Ninja Trick.
Okay. And
it's a support card, basically like a extra boost.
You said they were doing the Hail Hitler salute in which cards, or who was that supposed to be? It was all the rock dudes.
Team Rocket.
There were not all of the rock dudes. There were two specific ones. I didn't really look at the name of them, but yes, they were modeled. Yep, they were modeled in the Hitler salute, and Team Rocket's signature, like, "Hey, go Team Rocket," was a Hitler salute.
And then you said that Ash was supposed to represent the entire German race.
Well, basically the white man who is destined to come to the foreign land, gather all the strongest of the race to wipe out the weaker ones, improve them superior. That's why he was basically with the Asian guy and girl the whole time. Through their alliance with him, they would succeed.
Okay. I get it, I guess.
Very, very sneaky, Meynerhd.
I will be right back. I have to digest a lot of this.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to this podcast. If you're looking to support this podcast and this network, visit shopgear.com. That's shopgere.com. It will take you right to amazon.com, to your Amazon account, and you can do all of your Amazon shopping. The difference is using our link versus going to Amazon's link is that you are telling Amazon that Gear Network referred you, and they end up giving us a small percentage of your purchase, which helps out this program and this network entirely. And of course, if Amazon's not your thing, it's understandable. On gearnetwork.com, G-E-R-E network.com, if you click on the top bar that says donate to Gear, there's several different PayPal buttons. You can donate to us as well if Amazon isn't your thing. Your support is vital to helping the Gear Network maintain this programming, this quality programming, and continuing our growth through the year. As always, thank you very much for your support and your listens and your downloads and your likes and your shares. from all of us here at the Gear Radio Network.
All right, well, Jesse, so while we were at break, Jesse forgot that he skipped the best part.
Oh, yeah, in the Pokemon Nazi conspiracy.
I love the small markers.
That conspiracy has reared its head as soon as 2016. Who's sawing? Is that Meynerhd again?
He's building
making a doghouse.
Clean up later.
Sounds like he's sawing like pinkies.
But anyways, that conspiracy reared its head as soon as recently as 2016, when the alt-right was using Pokemon Go to go to local gyms in the South and pass out Nazi propaganda flyers to try and recruit kids. Complete with a drawing of Pikachu dressed as Hitler. And I'm not talking just mustache. I'm talking full Hitler wig and a little suit for Pikachu. A little Hitler suit.
Jesus Christ.
Dude,
yeah,
pretty sweet.
Markers, if cocaine smelled like markers, I wouldn't. Oh, fuck. Just fuck that up. Sorry.
You know, if cocaine smelled like markers, I wouldn't have made it to my 30s.
Oh my god, did you just think of that?
Matt whispered it in my ear.
Listen, cocaine only smells like one thing, and that's cocaine.
I don't know. I've never tried it. I kind of wish I knew what it smelled like at least.
I was doing propane.
What the fuck just happened?
Randy Savage's last words. That's what it sounded like.
Oh, yeah.
No, Randy Savage's last words were, "Is that a tree?"
No, he had a heart attack. That was like...
But he crashed his car after having the heart attack.
But the heart attack is what killed him, brother.
The tree helped.
Can you prove that?
Yeah, if you look at his thing where they did the autopsy, he was dead before his car hit the tree.
Oh, so I guess his last words were, "Is this a heart attack?"
Actually, it was probably like, "Oh, shoulder pain, brother."
Shouldn't have had so many Slim Jims, brother.
Snap into an artery.
Why is everybody just doing Hulk Hogan impressions?
Because I can't do a Macho Man right now, I don't think.
Fair. Neither can I, don't worry.
Ooh, yeah, brother.
I think that's Hulk too, still.
Well, Hulk said brother, but I think Macho Man coined the ooh, yeah.
He did coin the ooh, yeah.
Anyway, so I have been tasked with coming up with the people who are telling the truths and lies to this episode. I'm going to start out and say that I think what Matt was trying to explain was Operation Snow White, where the FBI infiltrated Scientology, which is a well-known thing. So Matt's an asshole in this episode, I think. So this is where it gets a little tougher, because Meynerhd's story was pretty messed up, and it's a Belgium thing, and world stuff just escapes me sometimes. So Sarge, your story being more local but had a lot of detail. The only thing that bothers me is the hypnotherapy aspect, and the whole PTSD thing, and I don't know. There's something about...
Don't you think you would have PTSD if somebody fucking picked you up out of your fucking car in a dark street and brought you in a spacecraft and then jerked you off? I feel like that would fuck me up.
I feel like I should owe them flowers and say thank you, but I don't know. The hypnotherapy part is what bothers me the most about your story, because I feel like that was like, would you say the 50s or what is it, 50s or 60s?
The 60s.
I don't know.
1962 and then later 1964.
I'd be thankful you got a hand job in space. What are you bitching about?
That's true.
Do you think
little globules, little like ropey jisms just catapulting around in the spacecraft?
It's one of the dehydrated ones that stick to everything.
I mean,
oh, dear Lord.
Boy. I mean, I feel like if that happened to me, I'd owe them dinner. So,
oh my God,
I'm just gonna go ahead and say that you're an asshole on this one too. There were things about it that were really plausible, and then I was like, oh, the hypnotherapy is what throws me off. So, between Jesse and Meynerhd, I feel like Meynerhd understanding the homework assignment a little better kind of gives credibility to the fact that he could just bullshit names that I would never know in Belgium. But knowing Jesse, he was pretty confident about his Pokemon story. I'm going to go with Jesse is the brain and Meynerhd was an asshole.
Guys, can I do it?
You can do it.
Jordan, you couldn't possibly have been more wrong.
Okay.
Matt was the brain.
All right.
Matt was definitely.
I challenge anybody.
The operation that Matt was talking about, and you're right. Operation Snow White was an operation that included the FBI and Scientology. Unfortunately, Matt, you want to take this one, buddy?
Good talk, Matt.
Okay, so what Matt was trying to say...
Sorry, I had a mic problem there. I apologize.
No. You're good.
Oh, shit, I'm still having problems.
Okay, so I'll continue. So Matt was 100% correct, actually.
What happened?
Scientology did infiltrate the fucking FBI.
Well,
they really did
that's
it.
fine.
It really happened.
Cases.
I just have to be honest. I would challenge anybody to listen to what Matt had to say and then actually think that anything could come of it.
Well, I didn't want to say Operation Snow White because I knew you would get that, so I wanted to come up with like a familiar. So, see, the problem was like when we decided like to do alien stories, I was like, well, fucking. I mean, there's actually been no sightings. I mean, yeah, we could take like a story or something involving, but at the only thing I could think of was the I saw something on the Snow White operation.
I just want to clarify for the group here that I sent Matt an entire a link to a website completely dedicated to alien abductions. Just to be clear.
But at the same time,
and if I can defer to one thing,
anyone, so it was hard for me to come up with a story. Like I felt like I had to be something, whether or not.
Well, Matt, you did an incredible job, man. You really did. That was so
impressive.
Good.
Oh,
it
by
was
the way,
really
the guy's
good.
name is George, but you can call him Jorge because like he was a Spanish guy and his friends did call him Jorge. That's how I like changed some of the names. And the journalist's name was Paulette Johnson, I believe was. Yes. And she was part of Operation
Those friends called him Jorge.
I'm not going to.
Jordan, I do want
his friends called him Jorge. See, here's the thing with Jesse, right? Because I know that there was a card with a swastika on it or like some Nazi symbol, and Nintendo actually discontinued it. And that's what bothers me the most is because like I was like, oh shit, this like I remember this actually happened and it was recent.
I sprinkled in some true facts. Turns out that swastika was actually the reverse of it. That is actually the Japanese symbol for peace.
Yeah, it's like
the backwards swastika.
Jordan, if you would do me a favor, there was one more part of that story that was 100% true. And if you would do me a favor,
I already did. I
Facebook,
did, and I'll share that. And that's going to be the cover art for this episode.
That is the actual flyer that the alt-right really was handing out to kids that were going to Pokemon gyms in the South.
All right, so I just posted a link where I got most of my information from. There were 2 hypnotherapists, and it was actually in the 1950s. Betty and Barney Hill.
Wait, no. Betty and Barney Hill.
I don't know. An interracial couple from Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Wait, Benny wasn't involved here?
Listen,
Betty and Barney Hill.
I could have believed Henry and what was the other one? Henry and
Karen.
Yeah, see, Henry and Karen could have.
Now do you understand why I chose
Barney
Henry
and Betty?
And Karen Hill?
See, here's the thing.
Karen.
If you had said Betty and Barney, I would have been like, no, you're wrong. You're complete. That's fucking made up. Bullshit.
I chose it for its plausible deniability, but it's Benny and Barney Hill, and they were abducted in New Hampshire, not in Portsmouth, but they're from Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Nice town.
It's actually one of the most famous cases of alien abduction ever, but obviously I changed a lot of the facts because I didn't want you to get it if you did have a really sad life and know these things like I do.
It sounded familiar, but the thing that kept throwing me off was like I feel like hypnotherapy is just like not something that would have happened back then. And
no, it really was. It was a big thing in the 50s and 60s.
See, like, yeah, I mean, the interracial thing like didn't faze me. Like nothing else fazed me on that. Like, except for
that, and it was Henry and Karen. No, that was his fucking name from Goodfellas. Was Henry Hill?
Right. Well, I know that was the whole thing. When Matt said it, I was like, oh well.
You know, I wrote it down and I was like, this doesn't look plausible at all. There's no way he's going to buy this. I was like, you know what? Whatever. We've got 3 people.
Like, I didn't want to like
Nats was really
but that was
good.
The thing is I didn't want to be like, oh, well, Henry Hill, I'm just going to dismiss this.
No, Henry. It was Betty and Barney Hill. And they had like the silliest names. Some of the other things that I embellished were their locations. Obviously, they weren't in Vermont. They were in New Hampshire. They're from New Hampshire. They were an interracial couple. Barney really did have PTSD from the experience, and it did cost him his job at the post office.
Yeah,
so that wasn't a full lie. He didn't retire. He was actually from the post office.
I'm still trying to process what Matt is saying. To be honest, you're talking to you're playing tennis with the drapes because I'm trying to I'm trying to process Matt's crap.
So the thing is, like, Matt was spot on. I actually read a lot about this because it was really fascinating to me
really hard
years
for me
ago.
To follow because, like I said, I knew
it is an all over the place thing. That's the thing that blew my mind. Is it's so all over the place because the Scientologists really did infiltrate a bunch of different factions of the government. Matt only covered the FBI. They also infiltrated the IRS.
Yeah, that was a big one they did too. I would have gotten into that, but there's like 8 different stories involving them trying to convert the IRS, some of the people in the IRS, blackmail. It seriously, and they did this even after his wife went to prison. They kept on doing this up into the 80s, and they actually believed that one of the reasons why it was overturned is because they had quite a few people working inside, and which were people in the FBI and the IRS were afraid of Scientologists, and they were like, let's just give them back their tax exempt.
Yeah. Just mind blown, man. Mind blown.
Hold on,
can we just all give it up for Meynerhd, though? Meynerhd had the most fucking amazing one, I think.
You, man.
Meynerhd, high five, buddy. That was good. That was some good.
Can I just ask Meynerhd real quick? Did you name a Belgian politician?
Okay. I named them all. I think every single name I used in that story was a politician in Belgium. Currently,
it was really good.
I saw a painting online that people were debating on if it was a UFO in the painting, and I just kind of made up the story from there.
Matt, buddy, I told you, Matt had some reservations too. He sent me a message. So the reason we had to start late tonight was because my wife and I are coming up on our 10-year wedding anniversary. We're going to do a vow renewal ceremony because we got married right after I graduated basic training. So we didn't put like a ton of planning into the wedding. We wanted to have like something really cool to celebrate being together for 10 years. No, Matt, fuck you. You're not invited. I didn't go to your wedding. You're not coming to mine.
Is Larry going?
Yeah, Larry will be there. He's going to he's going to officiate, actually.
Larry's here with me right now.
Hey, guys, what's going on?
Wait.
Larry.
What happened?
Does Larry know that Meynerhd is now on the show? I mean, I'm worried about the jealousy.
Well, he's with you, so I would watch out.
Yeah.
Hey, Meynerhd, what's going on, buddy?
How are you, Larry? How you feeling?
Larry, listen, let me finish my fucking story, you fucking asshole, and then we'll get into it.
I'm gonna let Larry take over.
Sorry guys, I was fitting to be sly. Shut up, Larry. Alright, so listen, anyway, so we went to a jewelry store.
Wait, I'm sorry, did you just say fitting to be sly, Larry?
Catch me outside, how about that?
Oh no.
So bitchy.
Anyway, guys, let me finish and then we can do this. So anyway, we I bought my wife like this really cheap engagement ring. It was only like $2,000. And I promised her, we're going to get you a good engagement ring like when we are settled and we have like, good jobs, we have a good life and all that stuff. So we went to go get the diamonds tonight for her new engagement ring. Then I get this message from Matt, and he's like, guys, I'm really going to go out on the limb on this one. I'm not sure. I'm like, dude, go with it. And I'm so glad I did, Matt. That was so fucking good. Yeah, man, it was really believable. It was good stuff.
Larry, you weren't here. Like, you were in the corner, like, working on your charcuterie,
I've been listening in
which was fucking terrible.
You know what? That hurts.
Where'd you get it from?
It hurts. It's been a while.
If I could you guys need to stop the fight.
Yeah, there's a lot of hatred here. First he yells at his beautiful wife Marie, and she keeps a wonderful home, and now he's yelling at me.
Larry,
do you guys know they're making a Big Mac ATM?
I cannot wait for the Big Mac ATM.
Did you see that they've also made cupcake ATMs?
But it's only available it's only available on January 31st.
Did you see that they've made cupcake ATMs?
One day.
I wish there was some more ATMs with Big Macs. That'd be amazing.
Larry, go back and sit in the corner.
This is getting uncomfortable. I gotta get him. Larry, get the fuck out.
Listen, Matt, you told me to come here so we could talk about my experiences in prison.
We're gonna do. All right, guys.
Let's just do it.
I think he should tell us, Larry. Why don't you tell us the story about your prison
guys, let's not do that right now. Let's not open up that can of worms.
Okay.
You know what? It wasn't fair, but I wanted you guys to know how it feels when you did this with me and Meynerhd, and you would just like surprise me with all these terrible things that he would do to me. But you know what? How about I come back next week and we talk a little bit about my prison experiences?
Yes, you can tell us all about how you were a prison bitch, Larry.
I actually, I wasn't a bitch.
Okay.
Don't pretend you didn't have fun, Larry.
Oh, I had fun. I had sex with 2 men.
Wait, was Meynerhd there too?
I was not in jail. I've done a lot of things in my life, but I was not in jail.
Yeah, he didn't even visit me in jail, fucker.
Catcher.
So,
All right. Larry, yes. Larry, yes.
you didn't have sex with 2 men. Don't lie.
You're still a virgin.
That's exactly what happened.
No.
He met the sisters.
No, I made those men my bitch.
Okay, Larry. Well, let's hear what the Squirrel Master has to say.
Larry, let's do this next week. Next week you come back and we'll do a whole thing with you. Okay. All right, that's fair.
All right, Larry.
Hey,
get
Larry,
the
let me
fuck
ask you a
out my
question.
house right now.
Hold on. I want to ask Larry a question. Would you rather hear a pretty girl sing or a fat boy fart?
I'd rather hear a fat girl fart.
What? I said a pretty boy sing or a fat girl fart.
Fair.
You'd rather a fat girl fart?
Larry? Matt, is Larry still there?
I come out after hearing.
Jesus Christ. Fucking heart's racing. What the hell's wrong with that guy?
Would you rather hear a pretty girl sing or a fat boy fart?
He said he would rather hear a fat girl fart.
It's kind of weird.
Ruined my whole fucking engagement.
Pretty girl
Odd choice.
Fat boy fart.
All right, well, so back to my story anyway, I guess. So I asked my wife. I won't say her name on the radio.
You doxed Marie.
I asked my wife.
So.
Well, that's because Matt did it first.
He did say Marie, actually, while we were recording.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. So anyway, long story short, I asked her to marry me at this restaurant, and I totally fucked up the whole thing. Honestly, I pulled the ring out of my pocket, and I was so nervous that I basically threw it at her. And so this year, we're going back to the exact same restaurant, and I'm going to ask her to marry me proper. I'm going to kneel down and embarrass her in front of everyone in the restaurant and ask her to marry me again.
What are you going to do if she says no?
I'm going to take the ring back. It was like $6,000. I'm going to go buy some sweet fucking Legos.
You can go to a strip club.
Fuck yeah.
A lot of Legos.
It's a lot of Legos and a lot of strippers. Especially if I got gold coins.
If you have enough money, they'll actually let you build your Legos at the strip club.
Excellent. I'm doing it. I'll be like, here, Destiny, hold this Death Star.
Her name is Sugar. And her friend is Cinnamon.
So anyway, who's going to be the fool?
That's you. You're the only one who hasn't done it twice other than Meynerhd.
All right.
And we're all 1-1 except for you. You're 1-0. So we'll have to work hard on convincing you that one of us is. Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right, guys. Well, that's it for us. Thank you for joining us on this episode. On behalf of the rest of the people here, do stuff. Make sure you send us messages and tell us why you like us.
Maybe fucking review us on iTunes, you cunts. Jesus Christ.
Share,
stay out of the mosque. Stay.
I feel like that's 2 weeks in a row that you've gotten really aggressive with the iTunes recommendations. I don't know if that's the way to get people.
I'm just gonna say stay in the country and out of mosques. And what?
Okay, well, good night, everybody.
You're welcome, and we're really sorry.
The preceding presentation has been brought to you by the Gear Network.